So we're going to get started. And come to the top of your mat. Spread the toes out nice and wide. And we're going to come down to child's pose first just to find out where you are right now. So take the arms up on the inhale and look up toward the thumbs. And exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. And exhale, step back. And then take a moment in child's pose. Check in with your body. Take some deep breaths. All right, let's do some stretches for the shoulders. So we will come back to some more movement, but let's get into the shoulders right now. So come to all hands, all fours, quadruped posture. We're going to start with the backs of the shoulders and back, and then we'll go to the front. So take your left hand behind your right arm and bring your left ear or the left side of your head to the ground and keep pressing into the ground with your right hand. And you can slowly roll toward the back of your head if you'd like. That'll give you a little bit more stretch through the fascia of the back. Take about 3 more big breaths here. All right, press down into your right hand. Come back to all fours. Take the right hand behind the left and bring the right side of your head to the ground. And gently push into the ground with your left hand. And you may want to slowly roll toward the back of your head. And come back to all fours. Okay, so sit back on your heels, or you may need to sit on a block or two. That'll work too. So once you sit back, you're going to interlace your fingers behind your back, roll the shoulders onto your back, and drop your shoulders down your back. Elbows can still be a little bit bent, especially if your shoulders feel really tight this morning, which they usually do. Morning is definitely a tight place for shoulders. And then look up toward the sky and gently drop your fist toward the ground. And then we're going to go for a bit of a forward bend. So wherever your forward bend is fine. You're going to lean forward, maybe lift the arms up a little bit. Don't force anything. Just notice where you're feeling the tightness. Is it through the shoulders? Are you feeling it more through the back? It may actually be in the knees. And then go ahead and come out of this, and let's come to a downward dog. Spread your fingers out wide. Make sure your wrists, the wrist creases, are roughly parallel to the front of your mat. And then find a downward dog and walk it out. Look up at your hands. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, relax and fold. Hang here for just a moment. So come into that self-study where you're noticing where you can feel the stretch happening, where you're feeling resistance. There may be a lot of resistance in the backs of the legs, and if there is a lot of resistance behind the knees, bend the knees a little bit. Let your head hang. And you may even feel a little tightness or resistance in the upper back and shoulders. Zip up the low belly a little bit. And take your hands to your hips. Squeeze your elbows toward the sky. Bend the knees. Big inhale, come all the way up to the sky. All right, let's work a little bit more in terms of moving the hips. Take the arms up on the inhale. Look up toward the thumbs. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back and drop your back knee to the ground. Take the arms up on the inhale. Drop your shoulders, let your hips sink a little bit. Pull to the midline, drag your right heel and left knee toward each other. And big exhale. Take the hands down to the ground, step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. Again, take a moment to just breathe here. Notice where you're feeling the resistance, the tightness. Relax your neck, shake out your head, nod your head gently. And look up. Bring that left knee up into your chest and step your left leg forward. Drop your back knee and then come on up. Inhale. Drop your shoulders, drop your hips, drag to the midline. And take the hands down to the ground. Lift your back leg up and step it forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, take it to the sky. And exhale, fold forward again. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, right leg back. Drop your back knee. Take the arms up. Drop the shoulders. Drop the hips. Drag to the midline. And big exhale. Take the hands down the ground, step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. Again, just check in. Where are you tight? Is it in the backs of the legs? Do you feel it more in the shoulders? Do you feel it more in the neck? Relax the neck. Gently shake out the head, nod the head. And on your next exhale, bring that right knee up into your chest and step it forward. Drop your back knee, drag to the midline, take the arms up. Little tiny back bend. Big breaths. And big exhale. Take the hands down to the ground and step forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms to sides. All right, let's do a little bit faster one. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back, drop your back knee. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. On your next exhale, bring that left knee forward. Inhale, take your arms up. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step your right leg forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, let's go to the other side, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, right leg back. Drop your back knee. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, hands to the ground, step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. On your next exhale, bring that right knee forward. Take it up on the inhale, arms up, look up. Exhale, hands to the ground. Step your left leg forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms to sides. All right, we're going to add in a couple things here. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back and drop your back knee. All right, let's open up for an open twist. So plant your left hand on the ground below your left shoulder. If you're a little bit tight, you can take a block and stick that underneath your left hand. Then turn your right toes out to the right and peel your right foot up off the floor so you're on the pinky edge of your right foot. Bring your right hand to your thigh and roll your right shoulder onto your back. And then roll your left shoulder onto your back as well. So that left shoulder tends to follow the right shoulder. See if you can squeeze the shoulder blades together toward your spine. And then reach your right arm back. And then possibly bend that back leg. So you may be tight in the quads, but if you can bend the back leg, that's the next step. And then maybe grab your foot behind you. So again, a lot of people cannot grab this back foot. So be patient. It takes time. Keep rolling that left shoulder onto your back. And that's part of that self-study too, that patience part. Recognizing sometimes there are little baby steps involved. All right, release, bring that right hand back down, step back, lift your left leg up. All right, we're gonna do a little bit of a core exercise here. It's a little bit tricky. So you're gonna come forward, shoulders over the wrist, claw the ground, bring the left knee toward the left elbow. See if you can touch the back of the left arm. If you're close, that's fine. And then you're gonna let the right toes turn to the right a tiny bit and extend that left leg out to the right. It may not extend very well, but do your best. We're just getting a little bit of a cross-body twist here. And then take that left leg back up toward the sky again, big inhale. And then lunge it forward. And drop your back knee. Let's open up the shoulders. Interlace the fingers behind your back. Stretch your fist down, open up your heart. And release the hands. Lift your back knee up, step it forward. Inhale, reach your spine forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your right leg back. Drop your back knee. All right, plant your right hand on the ground below your right shoulder. You can also use a block. Turn your left toes out to the left. Pull that weight into the pinky edge of your foot. Bring your left hand to your left thigh and roll your left shoulder onto your back and look back. Then roll your right shoulder onto your back. Then reach that left arm back. So this is a great place to hang out right here, opening up this twist. And then if you want to add a little extra into it, you can bend your back knee and then possibly grab that back foot and keep rolling your right shoulder onto your back. And release. Bring your hands back to the ground. Step back. Lift your right leg toward the sky. All right, so we're going to go for that little crunch and then try to swing that leg off to the left. So look up, come forward so your shoulders are over your wrists. Try to touch the back of your right arm with your right knee. And then turn your left toes a little bit to the left and then try to extend your right leg out to the left. And then extend back behind you again, big inhale. And then lunge it forward on the exhale. Come on up and then interlace your fingers again behind your back. This time put the other thumb and first finger on top. So you're going for the non-dominant grip. Open up the heart. And release. Take the hands down the ground. Step your left leg forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale, arms to the sides. And just take a moment in mountain pose. Notice if you're feeling a little bit warmer. Notice where you're feeling a little bit warmer. Let's do another one. Take the arms up on the inhale, look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step back with your left leg. Okay, so come back up again. Now we're going to do a closed twist. So take your left arm up, reach over to your right hand side, look up towards your left hand, get a nice big stretch through that left side. And take that left elbow to the outside of your right arm, right leg. All right, so once you've got left leg, excuse me, once you have your left elbow to the outside of your right leg, lift your rib cage up and twist over to your right a little bit more. So you're trying to get your rib cage a little bit hooked over to the right side. Then bring your hands together, reach the top of your head forward and your tailbone back, so try to get your spine long, and then flip your back toes over and push into the ball of your back foot. So there's a good chance that you can get that back knee up, but don't feel like it has to go up all the way. Go wherever this outer right hip will take you. Big breathing. Okay, take the hands down to the ground, step back, lift your left leg toward the sky. Let's do a couple more little crunches here. So you're gonna look up, come forward, shoulders over the wrist, claw the ground, bring that left knee toward the left armpit. And then you're gonna extend back again, big inhale. And then bring it forward. This time try to touch your forehead to your knee. And then inhale back behind you again. And then exhale, try to touch your left knee to the back of your right arm, so cross over a bit. And then inhale back again. And then do that full crossover. So bring that left knee towards your right armpit and then extend your left leg out to the right. And then extend back behind you again, big inhale. And then exhale, lunge your left leg forward. Drop your back knee. Now bring your hands to the inside of your left leg. And if you're really tight through the hips and quads, this may be enough right here. If you want to go a little bit deeper, you can bring your forearms down to a block or down to the ground. So wherever you choose to end up, make sure you're breathing deeply. Drag to the midline. Check in, do a little bit of self-study, figure out where your body is resisting, where it's feeling pretty good. Okay, plant the hands, lift your back knee up, and step your right leg forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, take it to the sky. And exhale, fold forward again. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, right leg back. Drop your back knee. Okay, we're gonna go for the twist on the left side. Take that right arm up, stretch over to your left-hand side. Take a few deep breaths here, getting this nice oblique abdominal stretch. Maybe look up toward your right hand. And twist. Take that right arm to the outside of your left leg, lift your rib cage up, and gently bring it over to the left a little bit more. Bring your hands together, look over your left shoulder. Flip your back toes over, press down into the ball of your back foot so that your right knee at least doesn't dig into the ground. And then you may be able to lift that right knee up a little bit and get that leg straighter. Take the hands down to the ground, step back, lift your right leg toward the sky. All right, we're gonna do a few little crunches here to start to engage some more of that core. So come forward, shoulders over the wrists, and try to touch the back of your right arm. And then inhale, extend back behind you. And then come forward again and try to touch your forehead and your knee. So tuck your chin. And then inhale back behind you. And then bring that right knee across to the back of your left arm, so a little twist. And then try to extend that right leg out to the left. And reach it back behind you. Exhale, lunge that right leg forward. Drop your back knee. Bring your arms to the inside of your right leg and then possibly use your block. And maybe come down a little deeper. Maybe forearms to the ground or forearms to the block. So again, this is your moment to check in with your body. Do a little bit of that self-study. Figure out where you're resisting. See if you can breathe into it. All right, and then move that block out of the way. Lift that back knee up and step your left leg forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, take it all the way to the sky. And exhale, arms to the sides. Okay, so this next one, we're going to do the same sun salutation C again, but we're going to try to add in a little bit of an arm balance. The arm balance may not come to you. It's okay if it doesn't, but just trying and see if you can get a little bit deeper is going to be fully worthwhile just because of the twist. So take the arms up on the inhale and look up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, step your left leg back. Drop your back knee. Okay, take that left arm up and stretch over to your right hand side. So we're going to try to get into a slightly deeper twist, which may turn into an arm balance. From here, you're going to take that left arm to the outside of your right leg. Lift your belly up and pull it around a little bit. Now, you want to try to keep the back of your left arm and the outside of your right knee connected. So there's almost like they're super glued together. Then you're going to take your hands about shoulder distance apart, and they can point any direction. So when you come to the ground, fingers can point forward toward the front of your mat or toward the side. It doesn't matter, whatever feels right. Then you're going to slightly come back and see if you can get your left hand to the ground, but still keep that connection between your left arm and right leg. And then just kind of slightly tip over and bring that right hand to the ground about shoulder distance away. Then your back leg is going to start extending. So flip your back toes over and see if you can get your back knee off the ground. And I'll slightly change my positioning so you can see. All right, so we're here. Back leg is trying to lift up. Then you're going to come forward, lift your chin, get a little bit of a bend in the left arm, so it's basically creating a little shelf for your right leg to rest on. And that can be a really big hip opener for a lot of us. Then you lean forward a little bit, and then eventually that left leg will come up. So that's what we're going for is, how can I get into enough of a twist that I can at least get my back knee up, and then eventually that back leg up, right? So play with that for a moment. And then come on out of it. Bring your hands to the ground, step your right leg back, and lift your left leg toward the sky. Look up, lunge your left leg forward on the exhale. Drop your back knee. Take it up on the inhale. And exhale. Take the hands down the ground, lift your back knee up, step forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, hinge at the hips. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, stretch forward. Exhale, right leg back. Drop your back knee. And let's go for the twist again, which may turn into something resembling an arm balance or something in between. Take that right arm up and over and stretch over to your left. And take that right arm to the outside of your left leg. Lift your belly up. Pull your ribcage over to the left a little bit. Bring your hands together. Look over the shoulder. Get nice and long through the spine. And then we're going to try for the arm balance, but make sure you can breathe. Keep inhaling and exhaling here. All right, and then you're going to try to take that right hand to the ground, but keep that connection between the outside of the left leg and the right hand. And then you're going to try to lift that back knee up. Lengthen your spine forward, lift your chin, and then maybe that left leg comes up, and then maybe that right leg comes up. Don't worry if you're not there. You may be still feet on the ground, just trying to find a deep twist and lengthening your spine, which is also fantastic. And then when you're ready, step back. Lift your left leg toward the sky. Big inhale. Exhale, lunge your left leg forward. Drop your back knee. Take the arms up on the inhale. Exhale, hands on the ground. Lift your right knee up and inhale, step it forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, take it to the sky. And exhale, arms to the sides. All right, so take a big step back with your right foot. Turn to the side. Your outer feet are going to line up with the short edges of your mat. So you've got parallel outer edges of your feet. Take your arms out to the sides. Your ankles should be roughly underneath your wrists, and then bring your hands to your hips. Lift your heart on the inhale, and then exhale, forward bend. So getting at those hamstrings a little bit more. See if you can reach down and grab your big toes. So if you can't quite get down there, if your hamstrings are really limiting you, come up a little higher, like hands on the shins. As you inhale, reach your heart forward. As you exhale, relax. Squeeze your legs into the midline. Make sure you've got as much weight in your inner heel as you have in your outer heel, and then bring your weight to the fronts of your heels. Roll the shoulders onto your back. Keep lifting your kneecaps, tighten up the fronts of your thighs. And bend the knees. Bring the hands to the hips, squeeze the elbows toward the sky. Inhale, come all the way up. All right, turn your right toes toward the short end of your mat. Take the arms out to the sides. Big inhale, let's go for triangle. Drop your right hip a little bit, reach through the right hand side, and then bring that right hand down to your leg. Take your left arm toward the sky. Push down firmly through your back heel and through the ball of your front foot, and then lengthen through the right side. All right, now let's add in a little bit more core here. So keep lifting with that left arm. Lift your right side up with your left arm. And then take your right arm and reach it roughly parallel to the ground. And that left arm's doing a lot of lifting. You're trying to lift through that right side. If you want to make this a little bit tougher, you can bring both arms together near your ears. I just slipped. If you want to make it a little bit easier, you can bring that right hand back down to your leg again. So you decide. And then slowly see if you can twist your belly toward the sky, just a tiny bit. Keep pushing down through your back heel, keep pushing down through the ball of your front foot. All right, hands to the hips, bend your front knee, inhale, come on up. Turn your right toes in, turn your left toes toward the other short end of your mat. Take the arms out to the sides, big inhale. Squeeze your inner thighs together, let your left hip drop a tiny bit, reach to the left-hand side and bring your left hand down to your leg. Right arm toward the sky. So basic triangle here, but make those legs really firm. Squeeze to the midline, push down through your back heel, push down through the ball of your front foot. Keep breathing, lengthen your spine out of your hips. Slowly twist your belly toward the sky. And then let's try to make this a little bit more core oriented. Keep lifting with that right arm so your left rib cage is starting to lift, and then take your left arm roughly parallel to the ground. Remember to breathe. And then if you want to make it a little bit tougher, you can take arms next to your ears. Keep pushing down through your back heel. See if you can twist your belly toward the ceiling just a tiny bit. Looks like I'm holding my picture. All right, hands to the hips. Inhale, come on up. Turn your left toes forward. Lift your heart on the inhale. Exhale, forward bend. Bring your hands to your hips and squeeze your elbows toward each other. Take your thumbs to the muscles on the edges of your spine. You should feel a nice line of muscle running up and down the sides of your spine. And then press down with your thumbs and massage that muscle up towards the shoulder blades. Keep squeezing your elbows together as you do that. All right, bend the knees. Inhale, come on up. Nice job. Turn your toes out now. You're going to sink down and bring your hands to your thighs. So if you're feeling a little tight or unbalanced, lean forward slightly. Big breathing. And then little by little, you're going to try to get more and more upright. Tighten up your buttocks. And then see if you can lift your heels up. Big breathing. All right, drop your heels. Inhale, come on up, and you're going to toe heel in. Okay, this next one's going to probably require a block. So step up to the front of your mat, and then grab your block. Your block is going to go to the outside of your right foot. Now, you don't necessarily need a block. It just makes it easier if you have tight hamstrings. So you're going to step with your feet roughly, I would say 2 to 3 feet apart. And then right foot points to 12 o'clock, left foot points to 11 o'clock. If you look down, you should be on 2 separate railroad tracks. So just make sure your left foot isn't directly behind your right foot. Otherwise, it's going to feel like you're on a tightrope. It's going to be really difficult to get into this posture. So you're on 2 separate tracks here with your feet. Again, feet are almost pointing the same direction. Right foot to 12 o'clock, left foot to about 11 o'clock. And then you're going to place your block to the outside of your right foot. So we're working through this IT band and hamstrings. And then let's go for some tough arms here. So I'm going to give you a couple different options. So to make this the sort of the OG way of doing this is bring your hands behind you and bring the fingers together. So you're doing reverse prayer position here. This is really tough. I make this look really easy. So if this posture is not happening for you, you can go fingers down. That's another variation to get the shoulders to open up. You can also grab your elbows behind your back or grab your forearms. So if grabbing elbows or forearms works, go ahead and do that. What we're just trying to do is open up the chest. Once we open up the chest and open up the shoulders, pull the front ribs in a little bit. Whenever you pull your hands behind your back, your front floating ribs tend to punch forward. So use your transverse abdominals to pull in. And then forward bend. So belly's pulling in, front ribs are pulling in. You've got your feet on 2 separate tracks. Lift your chin. Keep a little bit of a lift to your chin and fold forward. So in a perfect world, your belly comes to your thigh. If you don't get to your thigh, then stay up a little bit higher. But that's, if anything's going to touch your leg, it's belly first. Once you get to belly to the thigh, if you happen to have more flexible hamstrings, you're going to go chest to the knee. If you get your chest and the knee comfortably, then you can go chin to the shin. But it really should happen in that order because you want to make sure that you've got a long spine rather than a rounded spine here. So keep your chest up and chin up. Try not to round your spine. See if you can lengthen out of your hips and lift your elbows. Take about 2 or 3 more big breaths. All right, now we're going to go for the twist, which is going to include a lot more hip and IT band. So come up about halfway, release the hands to the thigh or the shin, or if you happen to be a little bit more flexible, bring your fingertips to the ground, and then press down firmly through your back heel, so you have a nice anchor, and your hips should be roughly level. And then you're going to take your left hand to any part of the leg or your left hand to your block. And then take your right thumb to your right hip crease, tack it back, reach your spine forward and your tailbone back, and then gently look over your shoulder. And if it seems appropriate to open up that shoulder, the right one, lift your right arm toward the sky. So left hand can be on the leg, it can be on the block. If you happen to be flexible, it's on the ground. Don't force it. Remember that self-study. Figure out where you need to be rather than where you want to be. And breathe into it. All right, exhale. Look down. And inhale, bring your block with you and come on up. So we're just going to turn toward the back of your mat. So just turn. So now your left toes are pointing toward the other side of your mat. Or you can just switch your legs if you want to keep looking at the camera. So left toes pointing to 12 o'clock, right toes pointing to 1 o'clock. Take your block down to the outside of your left leg just in case. Make sure you're on 2 separate tracks here. Let's try those arms again. Take the arms out to the sides, thumbs down. See if you can grab your elbows or forearms, or see if you can do prayer position with your hands. Notice how your ribs punch forward, so pull the ribs in, and then drop your shoulders. Lift your chin, big inhale, exhale, forward bend. Don't force anything. Hamstrings can be really grumpy if you try to force it. So big inhales, big exhales, press down through the back heel, press down through the ball of the front foot. See if you can lift those elbows up and the chin up. Big breathing. Let your breath guide you here. So as you inhale, try to lengthen a little bit. As you exhale, try to relax a little bit and see if you can go, see where your breath takes you essentially. Keep pushing down strong through that back heel. Keep pressing into the ground with the ball of your front foot. All right, inhale, come up halfway. Release your hands to your shins, your thighs, possibly the ground. And then once you're here, take a moment and just press through that back heel and press through the ball of your front foot. Make sure your hips are still trying to stay level. And then we're gonna go for the twist. The right hand is gonna come to the thigh or the shin or the block or the ground. Find a place that works. Then tack that left hip back, reach your spine forward, big inhale, keep pushing down through your back heel, and then maybe take that left arm toward the sky. It doesn't always work. If you're really tight in the shoulder, taking it up toward the sky just feels really hard and you still feel like kind of a pinching in the front of the shoulder. So if that is the case, thumb in the hip crease and tacking your left hip back and rolling your left shoulder onto the back there is a really great variation. Look over your shoulder if possible. Don't forget to breathe. All right, look down, exhale, and inhale, come on up. And go ahead and step that back leg forward and come up to the front of your mat. Okay, let's go for a standing pigeon. So you're gonna spread your toes out on your left foot, make a little shelf, bend your left leg. You're gonna cross your right ankle just on top of that left leg. And then flex your right toes back towards your knee. So one of the reasons why we do this is to get into a good habit of keeping the ankle straight. Once you start getting to more complicated hip openers, if your ankle is curved, you're going to end up putting a lot of stress on the outside of your right knee where your ACL is. And over time, it just stops feeling good. So you want to make sure you're really targeting the hip here and not the knee. Flex those toes back, pull that right pinky toe back toward the knee. If you're looking at your right foot, you should be able to see the inside of your foot and you shouldn't be able to see the bottom of your foot at all. So nice little flexing here. And then possibly take your hands down to a block or down to the ground. Breathe deeply. Zip up your low belly. All right, bend the knee, inhale, come on up, let's go for the other side. So spread the toes out on your right foot, bend your right leg, make a little shelf with your right leg so that your left ankle can cross on top. Go ahead and cross over. And then flex your toes back. And then once you have your toes flexed back, go ahead and slowly come down, right, to maybe blocks. Maybe you don't have the flexibility in your hip to come down to blocks. Maybe you want to keep your hands to your hips. Flex your toes back toward your left knee. Pull that pinky toe back. Take a look at your left foot. See if mostly what you see is the side of your foot and maybe even your toenails, but try not to see the bottom of your foot. So keep pulling those pinky toes back toward the left knee. Big deep breaths here. These hips tend to be really, really tight from sitting mostly. So big breathing. All right, and then come out of that one and release. Let's do one more balancing pose. So we're going to go for standing dancer pose. So you're going to bring your hands to your hips, spread your toes on your left foot, and then grab the top of your right foot. So there are a lot of variations of this. If you cannot grab your right foot comfortably, you can put a strap around your right foot and just stretch your right knee toward the ground. We're just trying to get into the front quads here. And if you can do this, then keep stretching your right knee toward the ground. Soften your hip creases back. So right where your leg femur bone comes into your hip socket, you got a nice little bend there in the leg. Soften that area back. There's a tendency for some of us to kind of pop that psoas and that front hip part forward. Soften it back a little bit. Zip up the low belly. And then take your left arm toward the sky. So as we go into our dancer pose, there's a tendency for your right rib cage to start getting pulled back. Do your best to just keep that right rib cage forward a little bit. It doesn't have to be perfect, but just use your belly and core muscles to pull that right rib cage forward. Roll your left shoulder onto the back. See if you can grab the inside of your right foot and then push your right foot into your right hand. And then keep trying to pull that right rib cage slightly forward. Zip up your low belly. All right, and then release. Let's go for the other side. We're gonna try a different variation of this in a second. Spread your toes out on your right foot. Grab the top of your left foot. So left knee stretches toward the ground. Get a little bit of softness in your hip creases. Soften the back a little bit. Zip up the belly. Take the right arm up. Just a tiny bit. Bring that left rib cage forward. Just a tiny bit. Keep stretching the left knee toward the ground. And again, this is a fantastic posture if you're really tight through the quads, not having to go too deep into it. Just stretching the knee toward the ground. And then if you do want to go a little deeper, if it seems feasible, grab the inside of your left foot, lift your spine a little bit more, push your left foot into your left hand, bring that left rib cage forward. All right, and then let that go. Okay, so we're gonna do slightly different arms here. If you are really tight, you're going to make a loop here with your strap. So you get a little loop. This is for a really loose person with quads that are super stretchy. So if you know that you have tight quads, you're going to make a really big loop with your strap. So I would even start like something this big. You can even go bigger. So maybe a radius of like 2 feet. Once you have that strap in a big loop, you're going to grab the buckle. And the reason why is it's something to grab onto. And the other thing is some straps are made better than others, and some straps tend to tighten or loosen at will. And if you grab onto the buckle, you're going to be in charge of how wide the strap is. So you can use a wall here if you want to, or a chair to just grab onto something. What you're going to do is put your right foot into the loop, and then you're going to point your right elbow forward. If you were to imagine the full-blown posture, you would be grabbing your foot behind your head, right, with your hands. What we're doing is we're creating some length with the strap so you don't actually have to go into an extreme posture like that. So the most important part of this posture is you can grab with both hands if you want, or you can keep a hand on the wall or on something stable. This armpit tends to flare forward. So you want to hollow out your armpit a little bit, sort of resist the strap a little bit. And then what you're going to do is keep hollowing out the armpits and push your foot into the strap. So if you're not very flexible, this is great, right? Your foot is nowhere near your head, but you can also use a wall. If you are a little bit more flexible, try that wide strap variation first, but then maybe go a little smaller with your loop. And then try it again. Right elbow forward, armpit in, push your foot into your strap. Use a wall if you need a little bit extra balance. You can put your left hand on it. If you feel like doing both arms, that's fine. Pull those armpits in, zip up your belly, pull the front ribs in. And then see if you can go just a tiny, tiny bit smaller. Don't feel like you have to do it, but if you feel like it wasn't terribly challenging, just see if you can go a little bit smaller. And what'll happen is over time, depending on your knees and flexibility and core strength, yeah, maybe someday you'll grab your foot behind your head, right? So no worries, don't get too super goal oriented, but keep those armpits in, belly in, front ribs in, and just kind of keep playing with this. You'll know if your quadriceps need to be stretched a little bit more. All right, so let's try the other side. So start bigger, wider with your loop. Even if you know you can go a little bit smaller, start wide so you can kind of inch into it. And we will do the same thing. So maybe hand on the wall, grab the buckle, elbow forward, nice deep breaths. If you want to grab the strap with both hands, that's fine. Zip up the belly, pull the front ribs in, hollow out your armpits, so pull those armpits in a little bit, make sure they're not punching forward. Big breathing. Keep zipping up the belly. See if you can drop the tailbone a little bit. And if that's working, keep breathing. That's a really good indicator of whether or not you're working too hard. Can you breathe? And then if that seems pretty good, maybe shorten up your strap a little bit. Try it again. Again, you can always use a wall. Pull the belly in, pull the front ribs in. A little bend in the standing leg can sometimes help a ton. Hollow out those armpits. Breathe. And try just a little bit shorter. Last one, and then we're coming to the ground. Big inhales, big exhales. So you'll notice I'm not going for the full-blown posture. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that this is morning, right? Your body's just a little bit tighter in the morning. All of you, if you were doing this at 6 o'clock in the evening, you'd be about 3 or 4 inches closer. All right, so slowly come out of it. Let's do a child's pose. Take the arms up on the inhale and look up. Exhale, fold. Hang out there for a moment. Just let yourself hang. And then let's take this to child's pose. Step back, knees wide, press back, hips toward the heels. All right, let's do a couple of planks. So we're going to come onto, we're going to do the hard planks first, and then we'll do the easier planks. But not easier, they just are easier on the shoulders. So from here, you're going to come onto a regular plank on your forearms, and you have a couple options. You can go forearms parallel to each other, or you can clasp your hands and make more of a triangle, your choice. So when you're here, either clasp your hands together or go forearms parallel, and then walk your feet back and try to get your hips at about the same level as your head. So you're actually letting your hips drop, and about 4 inches above your hips, right below your belly button, that's where you want to lift up. Then reach your heart forward and let your shoulders draw out to the sides. See if you can sink down between your shoulders. And take some big breaths. Reach out through your legs, reach your heels toward the wall. See if we can go for about a minute here. Take about 4 more big breaths. All right, drop your knees, push back to child's pose, take a breather. All right, let's do this one more time. So about 15 to 20 breaths is roughly a minute. So find your posture again. Again, interlace the fingers or make your forearms parallel to each other. And then walk the feet back and then drop the hips to about head, shoulder level. Lift just below the belly button. Reach your heart forward and draw your shoulders out to the sides. If you're starting to get a little bit bored or just really annoyed, lift your left leg up a little bit and then we'll kind of help out. Lift your right leg up a little bit. Play with your posture. Keep relaxing your chest down between your shoulders. Got about 5 breaths to go. All right, drop your knees and walk it back to child's pose. All right, let's do a shoulder opener because I love that particular, I don't love it at all. I really don't like that particular plank. It does great things, but it tends to tighten up the shoulders a little bit. So what we're gonna do is open up the shoulders now that we've tightened them. So you're gonna wiggle over to the right side of your mat. Take your left arm straight out to the left. So if your head is going to 12 o'clock, your arm is going to 9 o'clock. However, that can be a little bit too much shoulder stretch for most of us. So you're going to drop your left arm down to about 7 or 8 o'clock. Bend your right knee, plant your right hand on the ground, and then press into your right hand and roll onto your outer left hip. And you're going to put your right foot flat on the ground just to the inside of your left leg. And then your head weighs anywhere between 8 to 11 pounds. So that you don't have to stress out your neck, place your block under your head so that your head can rest on your block. So this is a good shoulder opener for the left side, and it's a little bit of a twist. And then you can take that right hand behind you and see if you can grab your left hand with your right hand. See if you can clasp your hands behind your back. That'll give you a little bit more shoulder opener. Don't forget to breathe. So even if you can't grab, just reach back with that right arm. And then some people want a little extra here. So we can start creating more of a twist out of the shoulder opener. So you can place your left foot on the ground, maybe, see how that feels. So eventually you may have both feet on the ground with both knees pointing up. And eventually you may even end up being able to drop your right hip to the ground. But don't force anything. Just let your breath guide you and decide if you've gone far enough. And another good thing to think about is sometimes if things fall asleep, like if you feel tingly in the shoulder, if you feel like your shoulder has fallen asleep, come out of the posture. So come out of the posture, shake it off. You might want to come back into the posture, but don't suffer through it if you feel like you've lost feeling or if you're feeling like something's not right. All right, and then gently come out. Let's go for the other side. So you're going to scoot over to the left side of your mat. Take your right arm out to the side to 3 o'clock, but then drop it down a little bit lower to maybe 4 or 5 o'clock. Bend your left leg, place your left hand flat on the ground and push into your left hand. Roll onto your right side and put your left foot on the ground. Make sure you've got a block underneath your head. And then see if you can take that left arm back behind you. So it may just be that you're reaching back behind you. You might be really tight in the shoulders. If that's the case, just recognize that and breathe into it. Eventually, you may be able to reach back and see if you can grab your right hand with your left hand. Roll the shoulders onto your back a little bit. Breathe. And then if it seems appropriate, you may want to go a little bit deeper by putting your right foot on the ground and gently dropping your left hip toward the ground. But be honest with yourself. Make sure you're able to breathe. Again, pay attention to whether or not your shoulder is getting tingly or if you're losing feeling. If you are, come out of it, take a moment and roll back into it. So take your time, don't suffer. This should feel really good. If it doesn't feel good, readjust. All right, and then slowly come out of this posture and push back to child's pose. And then check in child's pose, see how you feel. All right, let's get into a little bit more back bending. So you're going to take your 2 blocks, and we've already warmed up this area of the shoulders, but we're going to do it one more time. So you have a couple of options. This is one really lovely way to do it, where you bring your blocks to about shoulder distance apart, and you're going to take the backs of your arms to the blocks and hang your head. If you don't have blocks or don't prefer blocks, then you can just take the arms in front of you and drop your chest and your chin or your forehead to the ground. So there's the variation without blocks and the variation with blocks. You take the backs of your arms to the blocks, elbows at the tops of the blocks, clasp your hands together and drop your head down. They're both fantastic, so just pick one that works for you. Whichever variation you're practicing, zip up your belly, pull the front ribs in. And you may want just the tiniest little lift in your armpits as well. All right, slowly come out of this posture. And then we're going to go for an extension, get into this outer hip a little bit more. So this is actually a hip opener. There's a lot of strengthening happening at the same time, but it definitely opens up these hips. So you're going to take your right leg back behind you, bend your right knee, and then lift your right heel up. So you're starting to feel your buttocks muscles doing some work here. So keep lifting, and we're doing some little tiny pulses here. So as you inhale, lift with your inner heel. As you exhale, lower. Inhale, lift with your inner heel. Exhale, lower. Just go with your breath. Lifting on the inhale, dropping on the exhale. So you're starting to feel the gluteus maximus mostly here. And then we're going to move it to the outside of the hip in a second. Okay, now walk your left hand off the mat so you have a nice wide stance between your arms. Turn your right knee out to the right, and then bring your right knee forward toward your armpit. And then imagine there's a table about your height right next to you, and you got to put your leg on the table. So lift that right knee up a little higher. And then extend the right leg out and look at your toes and take 10 breaths. So try to keep your leg roughly parallel or higher, slightly higher. All right, bring that leg back in. Now do a child's pose. So go wide with your knees and press back. And let go of all that tension that built up. All right, let's do the other side. So I'm going to turn around so I don't kick the door. And then from here, same thing. Extend that left leg back behind you. Bend the knee. And then once you're here, press down into your right toes a little bit more, into the right toenails. Flex your left toes, and then inhale, lift. Exhale, drop. So you don't have to lift a lot. Inhale, lift. Exhale, drop. Lift with your inner heel. Keep zipping up the belly. Pull the front ribs in. Okay, about 2 more. All right, walk your right hand off the mat so you have a nice wide stance. Point the knee out to the left, bring the knee forward, and then lift up the leg a little bit. And then extend the leg and take 10 breaths and look at your left toes. No, there we go. Okay, go wide with your knees, do a little child's pose, check in, breathe, rest. Okay, let's do our plank on our backs and we're gonna come back to our hips. So you're gonna take one block at the bottom of your mat, another block at the top of your mat. You're gonna place your heels on the bottom block and your upper back on the top block. So shoulder blades on the top block. Then kneecaps point toward the sky. Take your hands underneath your head. So you're gonna create a sling or a hammock under your head, and your head's gonna rest in your hands, and you're gonna pull up and lift your head up with your hands. And then again, make sure the kneecaps are pointing up, and you're gonna lift your hips up and then really get long. Stretch out the body like you're doing a handstand. Get really, really long here. Keep lifting your hips. Roll those kneecaps toward each other. All right, drop the hips and roll over onto one side. So use that bottom arm as a pillow. Take a moment and just breathe on your side and rest. All right, roll forward and come up to a seated posture. And we're gonna do a little bit of back bending and then we'll come back into the hips on our back. So first thing, extend your legs out in front of you. Take your hands back behind you. Your first fingers, so your fingers are pointing towards your toes. Your first fingers are lined up with the outside of your hips. So you're giving your shoulders some room to work here. Roll the shoulders onto your back and press down. So the first stage here is noticing where your weight is in your hands. If most of your weight is on the pinky edge of your hand, then you're probably pretty tight through the front of the shoulders and biceps, and you probably don't want to lift your hips up. You want to make sure you're trying to get weight into the inner edge of your hand as well as the outer edge of your hand. So if that's really difficult here, work on getting weight into the inner edge of your hand so the weight is evenly distributed. If that's pretty easy to do, then you're probably ready for the next step, which is to bend your knees. So bring your feet in about halfway, and you'll come to a tabletop posture. And then let your head hang a little bit, let your neck relax. Keep pressing down into inner edge of your hands as well as outer edge. And if you feel like you're really dominating in the pinky edge of your hands, then you can go from here to that first posture that we worked on. If it's really easy to keep your weight evenly distributed, then try for the more advanced posture, which is legs straight. So this is Purvottanasana, eastward looking pose. You're going to press down, keep trying to get that weight into the inner edge of your hands, and then lift your hips up and try to get the balls of your feet to the ground and the toes. And again, if that's really just rolling that weight into the pinky edge of your hand, back off and come to your tabletop, or come back to this beginner posture where you're just working on getting the shoulders to open up. and then let's do a bow. And we'll come back to the hips. So come onto your belly. Take a moment, just rest for just a sec. Make a little pillow with your hands, turn your head to one side, and place your cheek on your hands. Take some big, deep breaths, check in, see how you feel. All right, bend the knees, reach back, grab 1 foot or 2 feet, depending on your flexibility and your quadriceps. Squeeze your legs into the midline, and then press your foot or feet into your hand or hands. Zip up the belly, pull the pubic bone toward the ground, pull those front ribs in. All right, and then release. Make a little pillow, turn your head to one side. All right, let's do another one. Grab your foot or feet and then squeeze into the midline and then push. Pull the front ribs in, pull the low belly in, roll your pubic bone toward the ground. And let it go. Make a little pillow, turn your head the other direction this time. All right, let's push back to child's pose. So take a moment, reach your hips back towards your heels. All right, so we're going to give you 2 minutes to work on something upside down, and then we'll get into just a relaxation with the hips and twists. So I'm going to demonstrate a headstand. Most of you are not going to do a full-blown headstand. You're just going to do that first preparation point. So you always start by grabbing your elbows. It's really important that you grab your elbows so that you know that your arms are coming straight down perpendicularly from your shoulders. So always measure and grab the outsides of your arms. Then you're going to swing your hands forward and interlace them, or you can make a little fist. And then you're going to bring the back of your head to your hands. So the top of your head is on the ground. Now, the important part about this is you're pressing through your forearms. So just about where your wristwatch would be, that's your anchor point, and that'll keep you from getting too much into the fist or too much into the elbows. And then you're going to walk in. So a lot of people, this is it, and this is fine. There's a lot happening here, strengthening the back muscles. Hamstrings might be a little tight, so you may want to bend the knees a little bit. And then I play with pressing into my forearms and bringing one knee into the chest. Pressing into my forearms, bringing the other knee into the chest. What you're trying to do is not collapse through the back. So you want to keep lifting your hips toward the sky. And then if you're going to do the full-blown posture, you're trying to lift your butt toward the sky and hang out here. So if you can go to the next stage, that would be legs just trying to hover over the ground. And that's a great place to hang out. And then you're building belly strength, and slowly someday you bring your legs toward the sky. What you don't want to do is just go straight to your headstand. You want to know that you're able to work toward the headstand by taking a knee in, lifting your feet off the floor. So play with that, because if you try to throw yourself all the way up, you're going to be doing too much with your neck and shoulders. Your shoulders are going to try to seize up and help you out in this posture. So even if you don't get your legs off the ground, just keep trying to press through your forearms and see if you can just get one knee in, 1 foot up, that type of thing, and keep pressing your forearms down. Another little trick is making sure that your shoulders don't sink down around your ears. So you're trying to draw your shoulders towards your hips rather than sinking down. And it seems counterintuitive. Your shoulders really want to sink toward the ground to make you more stable. So keep lifting your shoulders away from your ears and away from your neck. Take about 3 or 4 more big breaths here. All right, come to child's pose. Take a moment and breathe. All right, let's flip over, get a little bit more hips and twist in. So you're going to lie on your back and hug your right knee into your chest. This is called wind relieving pose. Try to press your right thigh firmly into your right rib cage. So you're pressing on your ascending colon, which is coming up the right side of your rib cage. All right, now we're going to go for the twist. Take the right arm out to the side, look over the right shoulder, roll onto your outer left hip, and bring your right leg across the body to the left. And then roll back onto your back and hug your left knee into your chest. So left thigh is going to press firmly into your left rib cage, applying pressure to your descending colon. And then you can take that left leg across the body to the right, roll onto your outer right hip, take your left arm out to the left, and look over your left shoulder. And then you have options at the end here. So you can place a block under your hips. If you want to get a little bit more inversion in, you can take your legs up. You can also take your legs up against the wall and lean the feet against the wall. You can find Shavasana. Your feet can also stay on the ground. So I gave you about 2 minutes for Shavasana, which really is not adequate. So take a few more moments here, wherever you are in your resting position. And you can mentally follow my voice, mentally bringing your hands into your heart center. And then mentally bring your hands up to your forehead for kind thoughts, down to your lips for kind words, and down to your heart center for kind intentions. And if you can, take a few more minutes here, breathing, noticing your body relaxing slowly, paying attention to your breath coming in and out. And again, mentally to yourself, take a moment to send a little peace out there into the world. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.